It is now post time for X's and O's with Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, joins us each and every Tuesday for, at times, an elongated chat about his Minnesota Vikings. We have a talk back coming the way of the head coach here shortly. I'm Paul Allen, and good morning. Maybe the serendipity, the positive transpiring out of a negative with J.J. McCarthy's ankle is he can step back and see and hear facets, operate and absorb it pressure-free for a little bit, then returns and fires bullets. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, if you ask him or myself, we would love to, be able to just hit the ground running. There's plenty of, room for improvement for our whole team, and obviously myself and JJ included in that. But
I ain't saying he's bad. No,
and the thing about it is, I respect first and foremost the atmosphere we had on Sunday and the way our fans came out and the energy, coming off of that Monday night win and what the building felt like. We just didn't play well as a team. We didn't play well enough. We didn't coach well enough. There's a lot of aspects of it that we missed the mark on. But it is week 2, and we are a 1-1 team with a chance to get right back on track this week. I think coming out of that game, there was some real learning opportunities for our young quarterback from a standpoint of it was a unique week for him, short week, welcomed his first child into the world and, missed a day of practice. And I think mentally he was prepared, and I was so proud of the way, we used some extra time throughout Friday and Saturday to get ready for, the game plan. And he had, he was in total command of it. There were some physical things, just fundamentals and techniques that I think he was so entranced and so locked and loaded on. We learned some lessons as far as some of the principles that we teach and some of the things that he has done an unbelievable job of since he first got here till now of really making part of his game. And there were some moments in time before the ankle where there were some real flashes of that, and there's some real really positive things to say, hey, look at this. Look at the way not only you executed the play and the throw, but let's go backwards from the time the ball hit your hands to the fundamentals and technique of it that equaled really productive plays for not only our offense, but for JJ really driving the ship. And then, whether it was the ankle or whether things kind of transpired from there, like what happens to many young quarterbacks in games like that, he was hit too much for my liking early on. We had some mental breakdowns and we had some physical breakdowns that we've got to find a way to rectify, and I think we'll be able to do that as we press on and move forward. But I think it was a great learning op for him to feel, especially the way that defense kept him out. Our defense kept him out of the end zone, 1 of 5 down there. The game was still very much in reach, and we just needed to make 1 or 2 plays, specifically on some of those third downs. That I think J.J. McCarthy will make and make many, many times and move the team and put us in position to win a football game exactly like that. So we've got to use this as a learning op. They're going to come. Young quarterbacks have days where, there's always going to be the maximizing of the learning opportunities. And it's very much easier to do after you come back storming back and win a football game on the road in the NFC North in the opener. Yeah. But, you've got to equally – if you're going to be a 1-0 team and a mindset of doing the things we do to try to win one game, we all have to acknowledge what took place on Sunday is not the standard. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to our fans. But at the same time, for JJ, there's a bigger picture always going on, and there's always going to be teaching. There's going to be learning. There's going to be incredible growth opportunity and growth moments for all of us together coming out of a situation like that. Doesn't make it any easier, doesn't make it any better for our fans that deserved a heck of a lot more. But we're back to work, and we're grinding away, and we're going to go try to win a game this Sunday.
I'd like to share with you the genesis of that first question I asked you about, stepping back and just kind of seeing it and stuff like that, then coming back full throttle. Who knows what minutia or nuance, because you're so nuance-laden and detail-oriented, it probably doesn't play, but here's what triggered it for me. Julius Randle, Minnesota Timberwolves. Yep. You're familiar, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we're apples and oranges, but I think we're in the same fishbowl under different rocks because it's pro sports. Julius Randle had a groin injury on a Saturday against the Washington Wizards. He sat out a month. And, he was new McCarthy this is new to him, okay?
Yep.
So the point being here, Randall was good. He's got some bulldog to him for sure. Sat out a month. First thing he said when he came back and they won a game and he was big, he's chatting with the post-game interview, and he says, you know what? I played this game a long time, but when I was able to sit back and watch it and just kind of like, hey, well, Ant likes that, or Rudy likes that. That was the genesis of the question.
Yeah.
More so, it's not even, hey, man, you need to take a deep breath, or hey, man, this and that. You're going to get healthy on the line, and people will eventually come back. It was more so just taking the overarching view, like air traffic control. My man's up there worrying about the planes leaving, the planes landing, and making sure they don't crash. Meanwhile, we're in 23B sometimes at 1-1. Can't get an armrest, waiting for the flight attendant to come back with water. It's hot, worried about my connection, worried about all those details, The overarcher, what was the point of the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really where I was going with that. Do you think it played at all?
I do.
Thank you.
I do, and I think there's many.
There are three people laughing at me in here.
There's many ways you can look at it and analyze it, and the fact of the matter is, there's going to be some incredible opportunities on the field in game.
Yeah.
I thought it was another example of J.J. McCarthy's toughness and competitive nature, showing up in a way.
He's a hockey guy.
In a way where, you would have thought, that just the way they just kind of, he came over, they taped it, and there wasn't even a conversation about him coming out of the game.
Right.
And, that's something that you got to give him a lot of credit for, to continue battling. I mean, he wanted to, probably, he has a lot of traits different from me, especially physically playing quarterback. I can promise you that from a talent standpoint, and his ability to play the position at a very high level, and where we think he may be able to go at that position. But one of the traits that we share is both him and I don't believe that a football game is over until it is absolutely over.
Right.
And so our minds and our belief, no matter how the day has gone, will always be, we're going to find a way. The next play is going to be the one that jump starts and kick starts the rhythm and our ability to go try to chase this thing down. And that's what ultimately we're going to continue to have. And you don't want to put yourselves in situations like that by, as a team, not doing the things you need to do to win a football game. Let's look at it pure and simple. We lost the turnover battle 4-1, and then ultimately we also tried to be aggressive going for it early on fourth and about 8 inches, and we fumbled a snap on a quarterback sneak. Things that rarely show up but can really cost you. And I think the biggest thing I took away from it is, even after all of that, you can pop the tape on and go to a play to start the fourth quarter, or you're in the tail end of the third quarter, and one drive of stacking 11 guys doing their job over and over and over again, find your way in the end zone, puts you in a position to win the football game. And what could that do for the energy and the enthusiasm of not only our defense, but U.S. Bank Stadium, when our fans have won us a ton of games since I've been here, by that fourth quarter energy. But we've got to give them something to kind of light the fuse, and we just never really got that play, and maybe learned a good lesson as far as the weight of trying to press to make that happen at times, instead of staying true to consistently who you want to be as an offense, and I take full responsibility for that as well. Not only as the play caller, but the head coach, and got to find a way to continue, because our guys are working. Our guys are preparing the right way. We've got to start seeing it show up a little bit more consistent during that 3 hours on Sunday.
The deeply rooted belief that we're always in it. I mean, it's age old with all of sports.
Yeah.
But, I mean, holy cow, you have the perfect reference point from that Indianapolis game
Yep.
a few years ago. And the crazy thing about that is you guys went 3 and out of halftime.
Yep.
But have you ever talked to Isaiah Rodgers about that game? Because he was on the Colts.
Oh yeah, he was. He tried to, all 4.29 speed of him, was able to try to get near Dalvin Cook on that long screen, but.
And I think somebody crushed him.
There was some folks. He had to deal with some Vikings on that play.
Yep.
But yes, I have, and he has talked about just the feeling that they had on their sideline looking over at ours. And it just felt like it was what we expected to have happen, and the belief was felt throughout not only our entire sideline, but for those who stuck around with us that day, the entire stadium.
Have you, when you played quarterback, when you played period, did you ever have games where you had to push through pain? You know, okay, we can retape it and we can get all tight and everything, but there's still something there. And the point I'm getting at is, okay, mechanically something may change. You would know that I wouldn't. But if you're even thinking about something a little bit in that high-speed thing, it's going to throw somebody off, right?
Yeah, and I think specifically for a quarterback, a right-handed thrower, that right ankle, you know, you think about it from a standpoint of that's where you're generating all your initial force off the ground, you know, via transferring that through your mechanics to, you know, inevitably the ball leaving your hands with a lot of torque and revolutions on it, and it's all generated from the ground. And I think one of the things that got away from him a little bit in the game was he wasn't on the ground enough. There was a lot of he was on the ground, tackled too much in my opinion. But from a foundational standpoint of all good things in football come at every position when you're grounded and you have that base underneath you. And there was just moments in time where the fundamental aspect of it slipped. And what I told him is, hey, you're not going to have very many circumstances where you don't get to handle on a short week, because we walked through on Wednesday. He did an unbelievable job through that walkthrough of absorbing the initial part of the game plan. But that third down day, not being able to get, the full speed reps of everything, and then you come back and he had a great Friday practice. He slept at the hospital. I think he got a couple hours of sleep on Thursday night into Friday. He shows up, has a ton of energy, and had a great practice. But those were plays where maybe the timing's a little different, maybe the rhythm's a little different down there when everything happens faster in the red zone. And the other thing that I talked to him about is, on a much, much smaller scale, the last game I ever played for the New England Patriots, I remember going out there. Tom Brady gets kind of dumped out by Albert Hainsworth. Bill pulls all the starters, and I'm in with the twos against the Washington, football team, whatever they were called at the time.
It was the Redskins at the time.
And I can remember losing focus of doing my job and the details of it, the discipline of what is my footwork, where do my eyes need to be, what is my responsibility to make sure that I do my job as the quarterback on this play so the other 10 guys can do theirs. And it's got to be reciprocated from the other 10 guys in the huddle. And I thought there were some really, really good performances. I thought our receivers played well. I thought, our tight ends showed up, and as much as possible right now we're trying to get TJ as involved as we can in the pass game, while knowing, there are some circumstances we're trying to do some things to help out and help that protection up front. And I thought the backs ran hard. Obviously we're, on the play, Aaron Jones gets dinged up on. We're trying to activate a one-on-one with him and a linebacker down the field, and we just had a kind of a bust up front that allowed a free runner to run, and on those snaps, JJ gets the ball knocked off of him, and it's a huge play on a 1st and 10 with great field position. You're trying to stay aggressive as a play caller, but those are the things that eat away at you, because the what-if game of how you handle the game needs to be matched by the execution level that you get through your preparation and your work with the players throughout the week. So those are all things we're trying to elevate. But sharing that message with JJ was not about him and I, comparably speaking, as quarterbacks, the level of play that he's capable of, far exceeding what I was capable of. It's more about the mindset of what is my job from a mental capacity, but as he's learning here early on, the physical discipline of taking the exact footwork on the exact play, it's only going to aid your ability to be as accurate as possible, especially when you're working through something like he was there late in the second half after getting that ankle.
Kevin O'Connell, X's and O's, KFAN. Bismarck, North Dakota native Carson Wentz is at the helm for now, and the wide-eyed Max Brosmer backs him up. Wentz. He was a Ram in 2023.
Yep.
Nice year, too, in 2021, by the way, with Kelly as the battery mate.
Yep.
I think he went for 27-7. I mean, we're about 5 seasons ago, but still it counts. Before you got Carson, maybe you said this and I missed it, did you talk to McVay, what he was like around the Covenant and in the rooms and stuff?
Yeah, I had a good conversation with Sean, and then I also was able to talk to Andy Reid as well about his experiences last year. And And a lot of the things that both of those guys who I hold in such high regard as phenomenal head coaches, Super Bowl winning head coaches in the NFL, they had very similar things to say independent of each other. And a lot of those things, if not all, have already been confirmed with what Carson's been able to do on the practice field. One of the blessings of last week was he did get to take every rep in that Thursday practice. And Thursday practices in the NFL, the blitz packages, you're trying to work through processes of that. There can be some anxiety with that. We had a phenomenal Thursday practice, and the ball, I don't think it hit the ground more than one time. He was in total command. I was really pushing the group via the play clock coming off of the Chicago game because I thought we were a little slow with our operation, especially early. And I was trying to push the entire group, and obviously the quarterback's going to feel that, and Carson did a phenomenal job with that. But he's made throws. He showed his athleticism. He's big. He can see everything on the field, and he's played a ton of football, and he's carried teams on his back before. He's not going to need to do that. He's not going to need to do that. He's going to just need to go out there and simply do the things that he's wildly capable of doing and do that job at a consistent level. And my hope is we get the execution around him to be to the standard we want it to be and move the football and score some points.
Well, I can ask Carson this question, so if I'm putting you in a weird spot, we'll move on. But was he prudent with his selection process here? And here's why I ask. Because he's gone every year of his career with more touchdowns than interceptions. We're 4 seasons removed from 27-7 with the yards per attempt at 7, which is not bad, which is actually quite good. And like last year, I think 64 quarterbacks played. Okay, I think the number 64. I think it's 40 already this year.
Wow.
Well, so, therefore, if you look at the laundry list of names that are available, I would think he'd be one of the first 2 or 3 people would call. And he's been here 3 weeks, so clearly it seems from afar he was prudent with his decision making. Is that fair?
I think it's fair. It's definitely a great question for him to get the exact
Julius Randle, Manny
thought
Machado.
process. But what I would say is this: I do know he had other opportunities, and maybe more lucrative opportunities, financially. That he heard there was a possibility he could be a Minnesota Viking, a team. We were talking yesterday, and he's
a fan.
He said he found joy just in the moments getting to run out of the tunnel in front of our great fans.
Wow.
Wearing the purple and gold, and that was something that was not lost on him in any way, shape, or form. And now he gets an opportunity to play and try to win football games for a team he's very much fit into very, very quickly.
Talk back Tuesday, and here they are.
Hey guys, Drew from Blaine here. Quick question for KOC. When, not if, when you bring a championship to this state and we build you a statue, will you be wearing a hat or no hat? Thanks.
You always wear hats and you have nice hair.
Well, I don't have enough of it. That's the problem.
Yes, you do.
These players never. By the way, the flow is looking outstanding today.
Yeah. How is Brian? I haven't seen him in a couple of days.
No, but the players never miss a minute to let me know when I'm not wearing a hat because they're so used to seeing it.
Right.
I think I'm going to have a ball cap on, and there's probably going to be a purple hoodie on. No offense to that white hoodie from the other day, but I don't think you're going to be seeing that one anytime soon.
Record ain't good in white is what I've been told.
Yeah. No, I
didn't know that, but was told that.
Well, that only took place because I found out very much the day of the game that everybody else would be wearing purple, and I do like to for the quarterback, if the headset ever goes out, whatever it is, I do like to have something different on so they can, see me rather quickly. Or if there's ever a kick returner that might need instruction after catching the ball to come out of the end zone, they can find me rather quickly, normally in that purple hoodie, and that's what we're going to.
Or we can throw it back to the San Diego State University days, or Matt Rule, actually, for the short time, truncated time he was in the NFL. You can hold up the big card and have like Kendrick Lamar up here and Taylor Swift over there and Ronald McDonald down
I've done some investigating on that through all of our, through either relationships with college coaches. We never did that in college.
Really?
I think
did you guys win a lot?
It was probably no, we didn't, and it was probably budget reasons. Printing those big old nice cards over at FedEx, whatever it would be. But I have found in my research that more oftentimes than not, those things mean absolutely nothing.
Oh, really?
And what they're actually trying to do
Wow.
is have a very exciting way to block people from seeing signals.
I am, and you know what? You just triggered a thought with me. Can you imagine if NIL were in play when you were a quarterback at San Diego State University? The food and beverage you would have gotten at Bully's in Del Mar?
I had a few meals there already.
I know, it'd be unbelievable.
Maybe I wouldn't have had to pay for them every time.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Got some comp in Agua Caliente or something like that. Kevin O'Connell, X's and O's. Are we in deep stretch? Yeah, we're in deep stretch. Do losses feel worse than wins feel good?
I said this. It's
so
actually
why?
it was a late game. You know, we had some family in town, but only my oldest went to the game. Just school night, everything it was.
White sweatshirt in front of me in the bathroom.
Yep, saw him.
Yep.
Hopefully he was very respectful and shook your hand and looked you in the eye. That's, obviously important.
He called me Pete.
But I will say this: we were driving home from the game, and he could tell I was, not maybe my normal self. He's gotten used to us winning a lot of games at US Bank Stadium and driving home, and there's nothing better. But I would say this: I've told this to people before. Winning, just with all the things from a standpoint of just the next game is coming, where my mind goes to immediately after a game. Supporting any players that might have gotten, dinged up, banged up with injuries in the game, and what that's going to look like. The next game arrives the moment you break down the team from a game, whether you win or lose. But what I would say is, if winning on a scale of 1 to 10 it's probably about a 4 or 5 out of 10 of joy, just because knowing, the next one, until you win the very last game you play, and that's the very last game of the season. As a coach, you're always chasing the next one.
Right.
But after losses, I would probably put it at about a 10,000 out of 10 misery.
Yeah, that's
just
weird.
Because
Human nature's weird that way.
And just the way I take a lot of pride in being a foundational, person in this building that the players, the coaches, anybody in this building can look to, for guidance, for the light, for the energy, for the joy of being a part of the Minnesota Vikings organization. So. There's a lot that goes into that, especially in moments where it's needed the most, which is one we're currently in right now after, a disappointing performance. And now we've got to press onward early in our journey here in the season with everything out in front of us. But you feel it. You feel it in so many more ways than just, the competitive nature of losing. I do hate losing more than anything in this world. It's one of the things. I've always been like that. Our quarterback shares that same feeling. He hasn't lost very many games in his football life. So, it's one of those things that I'm glad you asked that. I don't get to talk about that very much. But
what I'm here for.
It is a real thing. You're here for a lot more than that, my friend.
Oh, yeah, and Julius Randle references and maybe a Manny Machado coming up here at the end. I'm in very deep stretch here. We never discuss injuries on Tuesdays. First report is out tomorrow. Van Ginkel, though, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll play this weekend?
You know what? He's cleared all the the protocols from the standpoint of the off the field things. Now we get to see how he responds. He'll practice tomorrow.
Okay.
And we'll see how he responds. Anytime.
Yep.
Anytime it's with the in that concussion world, like I always take a total step back from it and make sure the player knows that my only role in it is to support him. And let the medical professionals kind of handle what's best for the player, and then ultimately we make decisions from there. But he's critical. He's critical for our team. I did think Dallas Turner showed up with some physicality and did some good things. Jonathan Grenard as well, like he always does, was active and impactful, and they were very much aware of him. And the way the Falcons played the game, it was a game where they weren't going to try to put the ball at risk very many times.
Correct.
We got the one punch out from E. Will there, which was a critical play in the game.
It was like Peanut Tillman. It was like the peanut punch the way he did it.
Yep, and we just, in a day where we, our number one pillar is always to try to win football games, is to be all about the ball and make sure we, at the very least, break even in that stat. And we were able to do that, albeit on the last play of the game versus the Chicago Bears, but we were not even close to doing that on Sunday night, and played a critical role in us having a chance to win.
All righty. So how important is it to winning, to getting a hold of the time of possession? I think it's pretty critical or important. and through the first two, the other teams run an average of 15.5 more plays per game than you guys.
Yeah, we're not getting enough plays right now.
Okay, so that needs to turn.
We've been basically, if you look at it, 46 on Sunday is very much not going to be conducive to possessing the football. And we were really at 46 against Chicago before that 4-minute stretch where we were able to run the clock down and take a chunk out of the clock. But we need more plays. We need more conversions of first downs. We need more opportunities to continue to run the ball and then marry that and try to generate some explosives and throw some more completions.
Bengals a 4-3 team. Trey Hendrickson's quite good. Are the Bengals a blitz-heavy team?
There's different fads in the NFL, and I would say that they definitely will bring some pressure. They will bring linebackers. They'll bring DBs. They'll fire a corner off the edge. Sometimes you got to be aware of all of it. But I would not put them in the category of say our defense, where teams are solely in many ways, shapes, or forms preparing for the pressure looks that Brian Flores can present. And that's just week in and week out. You're going to see different things that teams do well, different personnel that they try to build their schemes around. And obviously Trey Hendrickson's the first guy that you talk about, impactful player, and happens to line up a lot of times on our left, which has been a position that we're getting the best we can get out of Justin School. But Christian Darrisaw is Christian Darrisaw, and the moment we're able to have him back out there, we'll solidify a lot of things, as well as we're now into single-digit days until we get Jordan Addison back, which will be phenomenal. But I will say I think both Jalen Naylor and Adam Thielen have been, might not be showing up on the stat sheet, but these guys are doing a lot of good things. And Justin Jefferson has been phenomenal from a standpoint of just his leadership and how impactful that C is on his chest and things. This guy's used to going out and dominating, every game he ever plays. That's his expectation, and he's on his way to doing that. We just all patience is a good thing, and presence and poise is a good thing, but it's time to hit the gas pedal down and start playing Minnesota Vikings football.
Well, it's a Tuesday, so we could go an hour. Off what you just said, and the play early in the game, he's blocking up that Jones swing left that was supposed to be a swing. He was blocking his tail off, and then somebody gets through on the O'Neal side, and Floyd is unblocked, maybe by design, but it's
that was not by design.
Okay, well, and he even hesitated, but the game of inches part that you talk about, that was personified in that whole play. Jake Browning, last one. They're 4-3 when he starts. Seems to me from afar, T. Higgins generally has bigger games with Jake Browning than Jamar Chase. What do you see in Jake Browning?
Yeah, he played against us 2 years ago and was able to bring them back from the deficit late in the game. We saw him do it again last Sunday against Jacksonville, and he just seems to be incredibly composed and poised in that system. I think Zach does a very good job with that offense, and I think when you've got the type of playmakers that they do have with those two receivers and other players as well at the tight end spot and other receivers, and they got a good running back that can be involved in the run and pass game. They're going to be a challenge, and we've got to defensively. We kept them out of the end zone the other night, and I thought there were some really good things against the pass in the limited opportunities that our guys got defending the pass. But, we to a man, you watch that tape, and we could have been much better even defending, an elite back like Bijan Robinson. And it came down to some very simple fundamentals, techniques, just guys doing their job and not trying to either do too much. And then when we get to the ball, we got to tackle. We got to tackle a little bit more consistently than we did. And that will only trigger more second and third and long opportunities to then activate some of that, the best parts of our scheme that allow us to not only get off the field but have turnover chances like we had many, many times a year ago.
Love our time together on Tuesdays. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Have a good day. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. That's X's and O's. Back after this.